Yuna floated through the airlock, her boots clicking against the metal floor as the magnetic soles activated. The derelict ship stretched out before her, dark and silent. Her helmet light cut through the darkness, revealing dust particles dancing in the beam. Another empty coffin, she muttered, checking her cleaning equipment. 3 months this ship had been floating here, abandoned by its Velthron crew. Nobody wanted it anymore, which meant the Galactic Sanitation Corps got the job, which meant Yuna got the job. She was good at her work. 28 years old, and she had cleaned more alien vessels than most people her age had even seen. The pay was decent, the solitude was better, and nobody asked too many questions about why a human girl wanted to spend her days scrubbing alien residue from forgotten corners of space. The ship was called the Eternal Horizon, fancy name for what looked like a floating warehouse. Yuna pulled up the schematic on her wrist display. Cargo bay, crew quarters, engine room, and something labeled as a research section. The Velthrons were insectoid creatures, all clicking mandibles and compound eyes. They looked down on humans literally and figuratively. Their ships always smelled like chemicals and old flowers. This one smelled different. Wrong. Yuna made her way to the cargo bay, her footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. Most of the valuable stuff was already gone. Salvagers had picked the ship clean weeks ago, taking anything worth credits. She was just here to decontaminate and certify the vessel as safe for resale. The cargo bay doors groaned open. Her light swept across the space, empty. Just like the report said, some scratches on the walls, a few broken containers, and in the far corner, a large piece of equipment covered by a reflective tarp. Standard procedure. Check everything, scan everything, mark it clean or contaminated. Yuna walked toward the covered object, pulling out her scanner. Probably just some piece of machinery too heavy for the salvagers to bother with. She was 3 meters away when the tarp moved. Yuna froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The movement was small, just a ripple across the surface like something underneath had shifted. She checked her scanner. No life signs, nothing. The air in the cargo bay was stale but breathable. No toxins, no radiation. The tarp moved again. Okay, Yuna whispered to herself. Could be air pressure. Could be the ship settling. Could be a lot of things. She didn't believe any of those explanations. Protocol said to report anything unusual immediately. Call it in, let the security team handle it, go back to the station and file paperwork. Safe, smart, boring. Yuna took a step closer. The scanner still showed nothing. Whatever was under there, it wasn't registering as alive, but she had seen it move. Twice now. She reached out slowly, her gloved hand hovering over the edge of the tarp. Don't be stupid, Yuna, she told herself. But her hand was already gripping the material. She yanked the tarp away. For a moment, she couldn't process what she was seeing. The creature was roughly human-sized, curled in on itself like it was sleeping or hiding. But it definitely wasn't human. Its skin was dark, almost black, but covered in patterns that glowed faintly blue and green. The light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. It had arms and legs, 2 of each, arranged like a human. But the proportions were wrong. The fingers were too long, the joints bent at strange angles. Its head was smooth and oval-shaped, no visible ears or nose. Just a face that seemed almost human if you squinted, but alien in ways that made Yuna's stomach tighten. And it was wounded. Dark fluid, almost purple, leaked from several gashes across its torso. The creature's eyes opened. They were large and golden, with vertical pupils like a cat. They focused on Yuna with an intelligence that was unmistakable. This thing was aware. It was thinking. It was afraid. Hey, Yuna said softly, though she had no idea if it could understand. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. The creature made a sound, something between a gasp and a whimper. It tried to move, but its body spasmed with pain. More of that purple fluid leaked out. Yuna's training kicked in. She pulled out her medical scanner, the one she used to check for biological contaminants. She ran it over the creature, watching the data stream across her display. Then she stopped breathing. The scanner showed genetic information, complex DNA structures that the machine was trying to categorize. It cycled through its database of known species. Velthron, negative, Krillian, negative, Thexian, negative, human, partial match. Yuna stared at the readout. That was impossible. She ran the scan again. Same result. The creature had human DNA, not similar, not convergent evolution. Actual human genetic markers woven together with something else, something not in any database. What are you? Yuna whispered. The creature's hand moved slowly, painfully. It reached toward her. Yuna knew she should step back. This was dangerous, this was against every protocol, this was insane. But something in those golden eyes stopped her. The creature's long fingers touched her glove. Images flooded Yuna's mind. Not words, but feelings and pictures. A laboratory, sterile and white. Humans strapped to tables, screaming. Needles and machines and Velthran scientists in protective gear. Pain. So much pain. And then escape. Running through dark corridors, hiding, bleeding, waiting to die. Yuna stumbled backward, breaking contact. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She looked at the creature with new understanding and horror. Someone had made this thing. Someone had taken human DNA and mixed it with something else. Someone had experimented on people. The creature's eyes were pleading now, begging. It knew it was dying. It knew she had seen the truth. Yuna pulled out her communicator. Her hand shook as she activated it. She should call her supervisor. She should report this immediately. But something made her hesitate. The creature had shown her Velthran scientists. This ship was Velthran. If she reported this to the wrong people, what would happen to this creature? What would happen to her? She made her decision. This is Technician Yuna. I found something in the cargo bay of the Eternal Horizon. Something alive, requesting immediate medical assistance and quarantine protocols and... She paused, choosing her words carefully. I need to speak with Commander Deho. Tell him it's about human genetic material. Tell him it's urgent. The creature's eyes closed slowly as if in relief, or maybe just exhaustion. Yuna knelt beside it, keeping her distance but close enough to monitor. She pulled out a medical kit and tried to figure out how to stop the bleeding on something that wasn't quite human and wasn't quite alien. Whatever this thing was, someone had made it. Someone had used human DNA without permission, and that someone had clearly wanted to hide the evidence. Yuna looked around the empty cargo bay. This ship had been abandoned quickly. Left behind like trash, just like this creature. I'm not leaving you, she said quietly. Whatever you are, whoever made you, I'm not letting them finish the job. The creature's bioluminescent patterns pulsed a little brighter, then faded as it slipped into unconsciousness. Yuna sat back and waited for help to arrive, her mind racing with questions she wasn't sure she wanted answered. She had thought this was just routine cleaning, just another empty ship in a galaxy full of them. But she had found something that shouldn't exist. Something that proved humans were being used, experimented on, turned into things that glowed in the dark and died alone in cargo bays. And Yuna was going to find out why. The medical team arrived within 15 minutes. They moved quickly, efficiently, sealing off the cargo bay and setting up a portable containment field around the creature. Yuna watched from outside the barrier as they worked, her mind still spinning from what she had seen and felt when the creature touched her. Commander Deho arrived shortly after. He was a tall man, lean and weathered, with gray starting to show in his black hair. He had been running security on Helix 7 Station for 5 years, and Yuna had always respected him. He didn't waste words or time. Talk, he said, standing beside her. Yuna told him everything. The movement under the tarp, the creature's appearance, the scanner results showing human DNA. She hesitated before mentioning the mental images, wondering if he would think she was crazy. But Deho just nodded, his expression growing darker with each detail. You did the right thing calling me directly, he said when she finished. This is bigger than contamination protocol. A sharp clicking sound made them both turn. Krell, Yuna's direct supervisor, scuttled into the cargo bay. The Velthran's compound eyes glittered with what Yuna had learned to recognize as irritation. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke through his translator. This is unacceptable. The creature should have been destroyed immediately. It is a contamination risk. Clear protocol. It's not contamination, Yuna said firmly. It's a person. Or at least it has human DNA. That means it has rights under Terran law. Krell's antennae twitched. Nonsense. It is a specimen. An experiment. It has no legal standing. Then whose experiment is it? Deho asked quietly. This is a Velthran ship. If this is an experiment, who authorized it? The question hung in the air. Krell's mandibles stopped clicking. For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the medical equipment. That is not relevant, Krell finally said. What matters is containment and disposal. I am ordering its immediate termination. No, Yuna said. You refuse a direct order? I'm invoking Article 7 of the Terran Protection Act, Yuna said. surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. Any entity containing human genetic material has the right to medical treatment and legal evaluation before termination. I'm claiming protective custody on behalf of Earth. She had no idea if that was actually how the law worked. She had skimmed through the regulations once, bored during a long shift, but it sounded official enough, and more importantly, it made Krell pause. Deho caught on quickly. I'm seconding that claim. As station security commander, I'm placing the creature under military quarantine pending investigation. We need to know where it came from and who created it. Krell's whole body seemed to vibrate with anger. You are making a terrible mistake. Both of you. This matter is not what you think it is. Then explain it to me, Deho said. His hand rested casually on his sidearm. Explain why you're so eager to destroy evidence. But Krell just turned and scuttled away, his metallic footsteps echoing in the corridor. Yuna watched him go, a cold feeling settling in her stomach. He knows something, she said. Obviously, Deho agreed, which means we need to work fast. Come on. They moved to the medical bay where the creature had been transferred. The station's medical officer, a four-armed being named Vrex, was running scanners over the unconscious form. Vrex belonged to a species that valued logic and precision above all else. Emotions were foreign to them, which made them excellent doctors. Fascinating, Vrex said without looking up. The genetic structure is extraordinarily complex. Human DNA has been spliced with at least 3 other species. The integration is seamless. This is not crude experimentation. This is advanced bioengineering. Can you save it? Yuna asked. The entity, Vrex corrected. Not it. If this creature has human DNA and demonstrates sapience, proper terminology is required. One of Vrex's eyes swiveled to look at Yuna. And yes, the wounds are severe but treatable. I am more concerned about the psychological state. There is evidence of significant trauma. Yuna thought about the images the creature had shown her. The laboratories. The screaming. Can I see it? Can I see them? Vrex gestured to the quarantine chamber. You may observe, but no physical contact. We do not yet understand how the telepathic connection functions. Yuna approached the transparent barrier. The creature lay on a medical bed, its chest rising and falling slowly. The bioluminescent pattern still pulsed faintly. Up close, Yuna could see more details. The skin wasn't actually black, but a very dark blue. The proportions were human-like but perfected somehow, as if someone had taken a human template and improved it. Hey, Yuna said softly. Can you hear me? The golden eyes opened. They focused on her face with that same intense intelligence. The creature's hand moved slightly, fingers stretching toward the barrier. I can't touch you right now, Yuna explained. But you're safe. We're going to help you, I promise. She didn't know if it understood her words, but something in those eyes suggested understanding, trust maybe, or just desperate hope. Deho came up beside her. I've been going through the ship's computer system. Most of the files were wiped, but I recovered some fragments. You were right to be suspicious. The Eternal Horizon wasn't a cargo vessel or a research ship. It was a mobile laboratory. For what? The files are encrypted, but the fragments I found mention something called Project Genesis. And there are references to human colony ships. 5 of them, all reported lost in the past decade. Yuna felt sick. Lost or taken? I think we both know the answer to that. Vrex joined them. I have completed the initial medical scan. The entity is stable. However, I have discovered something disturbing. There are neural implants embedded in the brain structure. They appear designed to suppress cognitive function and enforce obedience. Appear? Deho asked. They are not functioning, Vrex explained. Something has disabled them. This entity has broken its conditioning. As if responding to the conversation, the creature stirred. Its eyes moved between the 3 of them. Then slowly it raised one long-fingered hand and pointed at Yuna. Me? Yuna asked. The creature's mouth moved. No sound came out at first, just a whisper of air. Then, struggling with the effort, it spoke. The voice was rough, unused, but unmistakably human. Help. Others. Everyone froze. The creature could speak. It had learned human language somehow, or maybe it had always known. Either way, it was definitely sapient. There are others? Yuna pressed close to the barrier. Like you, where? The creature's hand trembled with effort. Its eyes began to close. Wait, please, where are they? But the creature had exhausted itself. It slipped back into unconsciousness. Deho was already on his communicator, calling his security team. I want a full analysis of that ship's navigation data. Find out everywhere it's been in the last year. Una stared at the sleeping creature. Others, there were others. More experiments, more victims, more evidence of something terrible happening in the dark spaces between stars. This is bigger than we thought, she said. Much bigger, Deho agreed. And now we have a problem. What kind of problem? Before Deho could answer, alarms blared through the station. Red lights flashed. Una's communicator crackled with an emergency broadcast. All personnel, this is Station Command. We have detected a malfunction in the quarantine bay life support systems. The backup has also failed. Estimated time until oxygen depletion is 15 minutes. Una spun to look at the medical bay. The displays were going haywire. Oxygen levels dropping rapidly. No, she breathed. Vrex was already moving, checking systems frantically. This is not a malfunction. Someone has manually overridden the controls. Deho's face was grim. Krell, they ran to the control panel. Deho worked quickly, his fingers flying over the interface. But every command was blocked, every override refused. I can't stop it, he said. The system's been locked out from a higher authority. Una watched the oxygen counter drop. 10 minutes. The creature would die. After everything it had survived, after escaping and hiding and reaching out for help, it would suffocate in what should have been a safe place. No, Una said again. She grabbed an emergency oxygen tank from the wall. I'm going in. That's insane, Vrex said. The quarantine protocols don't matter if the patient is dead, Una shot back. She didn't wait for permission. She cycled through the airlock, oxygen tank in hand, and entered the medical bay. The air already felt thin. The creature was gasping, its bioluminescent patterns flickering erratically. Una fitted an oxygen mask over the creature's face. It wasn't designed for its facial structure, but she made it work, holding it in place while watching the monitors. Deho's voice came through her earpiece. Una, I've got a security team heading to engineering. Whoever did this had high-level access. This goes deeper than Krell. The creature's eyes opened. Even through the oxygen mask, Una could see fear. But also something else, gratitude. I told you, Una said. I'm not letting them finish the job. The creature's hand found hers. This time the contact was brief but intense. More images. Not memories, but a message. A warning, they know. They're coming, run, who knows? Una asked. Who's coming? But the creature was unconscious again, overwhelmed by the trauma and oxygen deprivation. The lights in the medical bay suddenly returned to normal. The oxygen systems kicked back on with a hiss. Deho's voice crackled through the speaker. We found the override. It was Krell. He's in custody now. Una sagged with relief. But Krell's words from earlier echoed in. Echo was learning fast. Too fast. Within 2 days, the hybrid could understand basic human speech and respond with simple words. Vrex found it fascinating from a medical perspective. Una found it heartbreaking. Echo's mind was designed to absorb and adapt, which meant someone had engineered them specifically for intelligence. More, Echo said, pointing at the datapad showing images of Earth. The hybrid's voice was getting stronger, more confident. Show more home. Una scrolled through pictures of forests, oceans, cities. Echo's golden eyes tracked every detail with intense focus. This is where humans come from. Earth, it's very far away from here. Want see? Echo said softly. Then, with more difficulty, want help others see. That was the constant thread in their conversations. Others. Echo never stopped thinking about the ones left behind. Through their limited communication and occasional mental flashes when they touched, Una had learned there were dozens more hybrids, maybe hundreds, and pure humans too, kept as what Echo called makers, sources for genetic material. The thought made Una sick. Deho spent most of his time in the station's intelligence center, digging through data. He had pulled in a small team of people he trusted, humans mostly, but also a few aliens who had no love for Velthron arrogance. They worked quietly, knowing that walls had ears and the Velthron warship still waited outside, patient and threatening. On the third day, Deho called an emergency meeting in a secure room. Una brought Echo, who was now strong enough to walk with support. The hybrid wore simple gray clothing that hung loosely on their frame. They were taller than Una, with longer limbs and that eerie grace that came from being designed rather than evolved. Vrex was already there, along with 2 humans Yuna recognized from the docking bay. Minho, a hotshot pilot with a reputation for breaking physics in creative ways, and Ji-Wan, a combat medic who had served in the border conflicts and had the scars to prove it. Everyone here knows the situation, Deho began. What you don't know is what I've found. He pulled up a holographic display. I've been tracking the Eternal Horizon's movements for the past year. It made regular trips to the same coordinates in Veltran space, a location that doesn't appear on any official star charts. The hologram zoomed in on a region marked with a red dot. I cross-referenced this with reports of missing human colony ships. All 5 ships were last detected in this same sector before they vanished. The official reports blamed navigation errors, pirate attacks, mechanical failures. But the timing is too perfect. Every disappearance happened within 2 weeks of the Eternal Horizon visiting that region. So they were hunting, Ji-Wan said quietly. The medic's face was hard. Taking whole ships full of people. It gets worse, Deho continued. I managed to decrypt more files from the ship's database. Project Genesis wasn't just about creating hybrids. It was about perfecting them. The Velthrons were trying to combine human adaptability with superior alien physical traits. They wanted to create a new species, one they could control. Echo made a sound, something between a hiss and a whimper. Yuna reached out and touched the hybrid's hand briefly. A flash of memory quickly suppressed pain. Tests. Others dying. Yuna pulled back, breathing hard. How many test subjects are we talking about? Minho asked. Based on the ship manifests and personnel records, at least 300 humans were taken. Maybe more. Most were used for genetic material and then... Deho paused. Disposed of. The survivors and successful hybrids are kept at the main facility. Where? Yuna demanded. Deho highlighted an asteroid field on the map. Hidden in plain sight. It's designated as a mining operation, but the mineral extraction numbers don't match the facility's power consumption. Something else is happening there. Something big. Outpost Mortem, Echo said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at the hybrid. Echo pointed at the hologram with a trembling hand. That place, that name. I remember. You've been there? Rex asked. Echo nodded. Born there. Escaped there. Others still there, prisoners, experiments all trapped. Minho leaned back in his chair. Okay, so we know where they are. That's great. Now here's the fun part. How do we get them out? That facility is in Veltran military space. We'd need a fleet to assault it, and Earth Command has already told us we're on our own. We don't need a fleet, Yuna said. Everyone looked at her. We need a distraction and a good pilot. Oh, I don't like where this is going, Minho said. But he was grinning. The Veltran warship outside is waiting for us to hand over Echo, Yuna explained, her mind racing. They think we're scared. They think we'll fold. What if we do the opposite? What if we steal their property right under their nose and make them chase us? That's insane, Ji-Wan said. That's human, Deho corrected. He was smiling too now. They're expecting us to act logically, safely. But humans don't work that way. We improvise. We take risks. We do stupid things that somehow work out. Rex's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. I must protest. This plan has a very low probability of success. Most human plans do, Minho said cheerfully. That's what makes them fun. I'm in. Me too, Ji-Wan added. Can't let you idiots go alone. Rex sighed, which sounded like air escaping from a balloon. Illogical, dangerous, foolish. A pause. I am also participating. Someone needs to ensure you survive your own stupidity. Yuna felt a surge of gratitude. This was what made humanity special. Not strength or technology, but the willingness to stand up for what was right even when the odds were terrible. Echo reached out and touched her shoulder. The contact brought a wave of emotion, hope, fear, determination. Thank you, the hybrid said clearly. For seeing person, not thing. Over the next 3 days, they planned. Deho pulled strings, calling in favors from people across the station. Minho secured a fast courier ship, technically a maintenance vessel but modified with engines that definitely weren't standard issue. Ji-Wan gathered medical supplies and weapons. Vrex prepared portable medical equipment. Yuna spent her time with Echo, helping the hybrid regain strength and learn more language. But she also hacked into the station's computer systems, pulling up everything she could find about Veltran military protocols and facility designs. If they were going to do this, they needed every advantage. On the fourth day, they got a break. Yuna was running a search algorithm through galactic communication networks when something caught her attention. A distress signal, heavily encrypted and nearly invisible in the noise of normal traffic. It was coming from the same coordinates as the hidden facility. She brought Deho immediately. Together, they worked to decrypt the message. It took 6 hours, but finally they broke through. The message was simple. Help us. Outpost mortem. Humans alive. Resistance active. Please help. The signal repeated every 6 hours. Someone inside the facility was calling for rescue, someone who knew how to hide a message from their captors. There's an organized resistance, Deho said with satisfaction. That changes everything. If we can make contact, coordinate with them, we can turn this from a rescue into a prison break, Yuna finished. They sent a response, carefully encrypted and bounced through multiple relays to hide its origin. Just a simple acknowledgement. Message received. Help coming. Be ready. The answer came back within an hour. 47 humans alive. 23 hybrids stable. Security is tight, but we've mapped weak points. Need extraction within 1 week or they start termination phase. Yuna felt cold. Termination phase. They were running out of time. We move tomorrow, Deho decided. Minho, is the ship ready? As ready as she'll ever be, the pilot confirmed. I've got enough fuel to get us there and back with some left over for fancy flying. The weapons are minimal, but we're not planning to fight our way out, right? Right, Deho said, though he didn't sound completely convinced. Echo had been quiet, listening to everything. Now the hybrid spoke up. I want go, must go. I know facility. I know guards. I help. It's too dangerous, Yuna protested. Is my people, Echo said firmly. My brothers. My sisters. I leave them once. I not leave again. There was no arguing with that logic. Yuna recognized the look in Echo's eyes. She had seen it in her own mirror often enough. Determination, stubbornness. The absolute refusal to abandon others no matter the cost. Okay, she said. We all go together. The next morning, they put their plan into motion. Deho created a distraction, staging a fake emergency in one of the station's reactor sections. While the Velthron warship's attention was focused on the station's power fluctuations, Minho fired up the courier ship and slipped out through the maintenance bay. Yuna sat in the co-pilot seat, watching the stars streak past as they jumped to hyperspace. Behind her, Echo sat strapped in, staring at the view screen with those intense golden eyes. Jiwan was checking medical gear. Vrex was reviewing the facility schematics they had managed to steal. Deho was on the comm, maintaining contact with his people back at the station. This is really happening, Yuna said softly. Second thoughts? Minho asked, his hands dancing over the controls. No, just, I was supposed to be cleaning ships. Nice, quiet, boring work. Now I'm flying into enemy territory to rescue genetic experiments from an illegal military facility. Minho laughed. Yeah, well, that's what you get for being human. We can't see someone in trouble while the outpost mortem facility looked like a mining station from the outside. Gray metal structures built into and around a large asteroid, with docking ports and transport tubes connecting different sections. Solar panels and communication arrays dotted the surface. To any passing ship, it would seem like a legitimate operation, but Yuna could see the signs now that she knew what to look for. Too many security sensors, weapon emplacements disguised as mining equipment, and the power signature was all wrong for a simple mining colony. Whatever was happening inside that asteroid required enormous amounts of energy. That's a prison, Jiwan said quietly, studying the scans. The medic had seen enough military facilities to recognize one wearing civilian clothes. How do we get in? Deho asked. Minho was already plotting. There's a debris field orbiting the asteroid. Old equipment, broken machinery, normal for a mining op. We could hide there. Send in a small team while I stay with the ship as getaway driver. They'll have sensors, Vrex pointed out. The moment we approach, they will detect us. Echo had been silent, staring at the view screen with an expression that was hard to read. Now the hybrid spoke. I know way, garbage. They throw garbage to space. I hide in garbage when escape. Nobody checked garbage. Everyone turned to look at Echo. You escaped in trash? Yuna asked. Echo nodded. Humans throw away. Hybrids throw away. Broken things, used things, all go out through waste disposal. Guards not watch garbage. Garbage not important. That's brilliant, Deho said slowly. And completely insane. So it's perfect, Minho added with a grin. They spent the next hour working out the details. The facility's waste disposal system cycled every 4 hours, ejecting compressed containers of refuse into space to be collected by automated drones. The drones took the containers to a processing station deeper in the asteroid belt. "We intercept a drone," Diho explained, mapping it out. "Replace the waste containers with ones containing us. The drone delivers us right into the facility's disposal bay. From there, we find the human prisoners and coordinate the escape." "Lots of things can go wrong," Jiwan pointed out. "Everything can go wrong," Yuna corrected. "But this is the only plan we've got," Vrex began preparing. They fabricated false containers large enough to hold people, but designed to look like waste on scanners. Minho positioned their ship in the debris field, making it look like just another piece of junk. Deho checked weapons and communication equipment. Echo worked with Yuna, drawing maps from memory of the facility's layout. The hybrid's recall was perfect. Every corridor and room rendered in precise detail. It was another reminder that Echo had been designed for this kind of thinking. "Security weakest here," Echo said, pointing to a section marked as maintenance. "Guards lazy, think nothing happened in trash rooms." "Perfect," Yuna said. "That's where we'll enter." They watched and waited. A waste cycle completed, and they tracked the drone as it collected containers and headed to processing. On the next cycle, they would make their move. 4 hours felt like forever. Yuna tried to rest but couldn't. Her mind kept spinning through everything that could go wrong. They could be discovered. The containers could be crushed. The resistance inside might not exist anymore. This could all be a trap. But every time doubt crept in, she looked at Echo. The hybrid sat calmly, eyes closed, bioluminescent patterns pulsing slowly. Echo had survived this place once, had escaped against impossible odds. If a hybrid with no ship and no allies could make it out, then surely a group of trained humans could make it in. "Time," Minho announced. "Next cycle starts in 10 minutes, they suited up. The containers were cramped and uncomfortable, but they had air supplies and communication links. Yuna climbed into hers, Echo in the one next to her. Through the small viewport, she could see the hybrid's face, calm and determined. "Ready?" Deho's voice came through the comm, a chorus of confirmations. Yuna added hers, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Minho launched the containers from a concealed bay. They drifted toward the waste collection point, tumbling slowly to match the movement of real debris. Yuna's stomach lurched with each rotation, but she focused on breathing steadily. The automated drone arrived right on schedule. Massive mechanical arms began collecting containers, including theirs. The drone's sensors swept over them. Yuna held her breath. Would the disguise work? The drone continued its collection routine without pause. They were inside its cargo hold, surrounded by actual waste containers. The smell even through the filters was terrible. "Phase 1 complete," Deho said quietly. "Everyone okay?" Check-ins came through. Everyone was fine, if deeply uncomfortable. The drone began its return journey to the facility. Through her viewport, Yuna watched the asteroid grow larger. The facility's docking bay opened like a mechanical mouth. They were swallowed into harsh artificial light. Mechanical systems unloaded the containers onto a conveyor system. Yuna felt hers being moved, sorted, stacked. Then finally, stillness. "We're in the disposal section," Echo's voice came through. "Wait for guard cycle. They check every 30 minutes. They waited in darkness. Yuna counted seconds, then minutes. At 25 minutes, she heard footsteps. Heavy boots on metal. A guard was making rounds. She watched through the tiny viewport as a Veltron security officer walked past, barely glancing at the waste containers. The footsteps faded. Echo counted down. "Now, go now." Yuna triggered her container's release. The side panel opened and she climbed out, muscles stiff from being cramped. Around her, the others were emerging. They were in a large room filled with waste containers and processing equipment. Industrial and grim, Echo moved to the door, pressed against it, listening. Clear, but must move fast. They moved through the facility like ghosts. Echo led them through maintenance corridors, areas where the guards rarely patrolled. Every time they heard footsteps or voices, they hid, barely breathing until the danger passed. Yuna was amazed at how well Echo remembered everything. Every turn, every door code, every security blind spot. The hybrid had paid attention during captivity, mapping escape routes even when escape seemed impossible. "Here," Echo whispered, stopping at a service panel. "Computer access. Can contact resistance from here." Deho pulled out his equipment and connected to the panel. His fingers flew over the controls, searching for the hidden signal they had detected earlier. For a long minute, nothing happened. Then text appeared on his screen. "You came." "We didn't think anyone would come," Deho typed quickly. "We're here to get you out. All of you." "Where are you located?" The response came fast. "Detention level 3. 47 humans, 23 hybrids. Guards change shift in 1 hour. That's our window. Can you disable security from your end? We have access to some systems. We can create diversions, but the main security grid is controlled from the command center. You'll need to take that first." Yuna looked at Deho. This was getting more complicated. Taking the command center meant a direct confrontation. "I'll handle it," Jiwan said firmly. "Give me 10 minutes in that command center and I can lock down their entire security system." "You'll need backup," Deho said. "I'll go," Vrex offered. "I can provide medical support and my species is not known for aggression." "Guards may underestimate me," Deho nodded. "Okay, Jiwan and Vrex take the command center. Yuna, Echo, and I will head to detention. We coordinate the timing." They split up. Yuna followed Echo deeper into the facility, Deho close behind. The corridors became cleaner, more official. They were leaving the maintenance areas and entering the operational sections. Echo stopped suddenly, holding up a hand. "Voices ahead." Velthron voices speaking rapidly in their clicking language. "Problem," Echo whispered. "Guards doing unscheduled patrol. Can we go around?" Yuna asked. Echo shook their head. "Only one way to detention from here." Deho checked his weapon. "Then we improvise." What happened next was pure human chaos. Deho stepped out into the corridor like he belonged there, speaking confidently in broken Velthron. The guards were confused, trying to understand what this human was doing in a restricted area. While they were distracted, Echo moved. The hybrid was faster than any human, engineered for speed and precision. 2 guards went down before they could even raise their weapons. Deho took out a third. The 4th one managed to hit an alarm before Yuna knocked them unconscious. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. "So much for stealth," Deho said. Jiwan's voice crackled through the comm. "We heard the alarm. Moving faster. 5 minutes to command center." "We don't have 5 minutes," Yuna said. "They'll lock down everything." Echo grabbed her arm. "Trust me, I know different way." They ran. Echo led them through a maze of corridors, moving with absolute certainty. Behind them, they could hear guards mobilizing, but Echo's knowledge of the facility's layout kept them one step ahead. They burst into a laboratory, sterile, white, full of equipment that made Yuna's stomach turn. Examination tables with restraints, surgical tools, tanks full of strange fluids. This was where the experiments happened, and in the tanks, floating in suspension, were more hybrids. Unfinished ones. Failed ones. Some looked almost human. Others were twisted, wrong, things that should never have existed. Echo made a sound of pure anguish. "We'll come back for them," Yuna promised. "All of them. But first we need." The celebration was short-lived. Within hours of the rescue, Yuna found herself separated from the others and escorted to a secure room on the Determination. 2 military officers sat across from her, their expressions neutral but their questions pointed and endless. They wanted to know everything. How she found Echo, why she hadn't followed proper protocols, what she knew about Outpost Mortem, who else was involved. The questions came like waves, relentless and exhausting. "You understand the diplomatic situation you've created," one officer said. His name was Kyung, a commander with cold eyes. "The Velthran Empire is demanding answers. They're claiming you stole military property and destroyed a legitimate research facility." Legitimate? Yuna felt anger surge through her exhaustion. They were experimenting on humans, kidnapping entire colony ships, creating hybrids without consent. "We know," Kyung said quietly. "We know, and it's already causing problems. The Velthrans are powerful. Earth can't afford to make enemies. So what are you saying? We should have left them there?" The second officer, a woman named Hana, spoke up. "We're saying it's complicated. The evidence you've provided is substantial. The testimonies from survivors are damning, but the Velthrans are claiming this was a rogue operation, not sanctioned by their government." "Do you believe that?" Yuna asked. Hana hesitated. "It doesn't matter what I believe. What matters is what we can prove and what we can live with politically." Before Yuna could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Kyung's communicator buzzed urgently. His expression darkened as he listened. "We have a situation," he said, standing. "Come with me." They hurried to the bridge. Captain Taiyong stood at the central command station, his face grim. On the view screen, a massive Veltron battle carrier had dropped out of hyperspace, flanked by 6 smaller warships. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "Put them through," Taiyong ordered. The screen shifted to show a Veltron officer, his exoskeleton decorated with rank insignia. When he spoke, his translator rendered his clicking speech into flat, emotionless words. "Earth vessel determination. You are harboring stolen property and criminals who destroyed Veltron assets. You will surrender all rescued individuals immediately or face military consequences." "Those aren't property," Taiyong said firmly. "They're people, victims of illegal experimentation. You have no jurisdiction in this matter. This is an internal Veltron affair. You used human victims. That makes it our affair." The Veltron officer's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of irritation. "You have 1 hour to comply. After that, we will take what belongs to us by force." The communication cut off. Taeyong turned to his officers. "Options?" "We're outgunned," someone said. "That carrier alone could take out our entire fleet here." "We could call for reinforcements," another suggested. "They'd arrive too late," Kyung said. "And Command has already made it clear we're not getting into a shooting war with the Velthrons over this." Yuna felt sick. After everything they had done, everything they had risked, it was going to end like this. The victims would be handed back to their torturers. Echo would be dissected. The survivors would disappear. "No," she said aloud. Everyone turned to look at her. "No," she repeated louder. "We didn't come this far to give up now. There has to be another way." "What do you suggest?" Taeyong asked. There was something in his tone, a hint that he wanted someone to give him a reason to fight. "We go public," Yuna said. "Broadcast everything. The evidence, the testimonies, images from the facility. Send it everywhere. Make sure every species in the galaxy knows what the Velthrons did." "That would be an act of war," Hana said. "No," Yuna countered. "That would be the truth. And once it's out there, the Velthrons can't hide it. They'll have to answer to galactic opinion, not just us." Taeyong considered this. It would work. But someone has to take responsibility for it. "Officially, Earth Command can't be seen approving this." "Then I'll do it," Yuna said. "It's my discovery. My responsibility." "You'll be court-martialed," Kyung warned. "Possibly imprisoned. Your career will be over." Yuna thought about Echo, about Sujin and the others, about all the victims still out there, in facilities they didn't know about yet. "I don't care. It's the right thing to do." Echo appeared in the doorway, having somehow escaped the medical bay. "I help, I testify. Show what they did." Other survivors were gathering behind Echo. Sujin pushed to the front. "We all testify. We all speak. They can't silence all of us." Taeyong looked at the growing crowd of survivors, then at his officers. A smile slowly spread across his face. "You know what? Command can punish me later. Right now I'm making an executive decision. Get me a broadcast signal. Route it through every relay we can reach. I want this going out to every corner of the galaxy." The next 30 minutes were chaos. They compiled everything: medical scans showing the genetic modifications, security footage from Outpost Mortem that Echo had helped them download during the escape, testimonies from survivors, images of the experiments, both successful and failed. Yuna stood in front of a camera, Echo beside her. Behind them, rows of survivors, human and hybrid together. "My name is Yuna," she began. "I'm a maintenance worker for the Galactic Sanitation Corps. 5 days ago I found something that wasn't supposed to be found. A victim of illegal experimentation by members of the Velthron military. This is Echo, a hybrid created by mixing human DNA with alien genetics without consent." Echo stepped forward. "I am person, made to be slave, made to be weapon. But I am person. We all person." Sujin spoke next. "I was taken from the colony ship New Hope 3 years ago. My husband and daughter were killed when the Velthrons attacked. I was kept alive to be used for genetic material. There are others, hundreds of others, some dead, some still imprisoned. This is what was done to us." The images played. The laboratories, the holding cells, the failed experiments floating in tanks. It was horrific. It was undeniable. And it was being broadcast to every major communications hub in the galaxy. The Veltron carrier responded immediately. Weapons powered up. They were preparing to fire. "Captain," the tactical officer said urgently, "they're targeting us. But then something unexpected happened. Other ships began dropping out of hyperspace. Not human ships. Not Velthran. Other species. Dozens of them. Some were just civilian vessels, but others were military craft from various governments. We're receiving messages. Communications reported. Multiple species condemning the Velthran actions. They're saying they're here to witness, to make sure no one gets silenced. The Velthran carrier held position. They couldn't attack now. Not with so many witnesses. Not with the truth already spreading across the galaxy faster than they could contain it. A new communication came in. This one was from the Velthran government itself. A high-ranking official, her translator rendering her words with what sounded like genuine distress. Earth vessel, this is Ambassador Rathala of the Velthran Council. We have seen your broadcast. What was done at that facility was not sanctioned by our government. We are initiating a full investigation. The carrier will stand down. We formally request cooperation in identifying all those responsible. Taeyong glanced at Yuna. She nodded. It could be a trick, but they had public opinion on their side now. The Veltrons couldn't make this disappear. We accept your cooperation, Ambassador, Taeyong said, but the victims stay with us. They're under Earth's protection now. A long pause, then agreed. We will provide all records we can access. But Captain, understand that this conspiracy goes deeper than you know. There are other facilities, other victims, and those responsible have had years to cover their tracks. The communication ended. Yuna felt exhausted and wired at the same time. They had won, for now, but the ambassador was right. This was bigger than one facility, bigger than one ship full of survivors. Over the next days, information flooded in from across the galaxy. The broadcast had opened floodgates. Other species came forward with their own stories of mysterious disappearances, unexplained genetic research, facilities that operated in the shadows. The Velthrons weren't the only ones. This was galactic in scope, Earth Command called. Yuna expected anger, punishment. Instead, she was offered a position in a newly formed organization, the Xenogenetic Rights Bureau. Their mission was to find all the victims, shut down all the facilities, and bring everyone responsible to justice. She accepted. Daeho, Minho, and Jiwon signed on too. Frex requested a transfer from medical duties to become the organization's chief medical officer. Even Sujin joined, determined to use her experience to help others. Echo became something unique in the galaxy. The first officially recognized hybrid, given citizenship by Earth and legal personhood by the Galactic Council. Other hybrids from Outpost Mortem were given the same rights. They formed a community, supporting each other, learning to be people instead of experiments. But there was still work to do. The records from Outpost Mortem revealed references to other facilities. Project Genesis wasn't the only program. There were others run by different species pursuing different goals, but all using victims without consent. We should go after them, Yuna said during a planning meeting. Find them. Shut them down. That will take years, Sujin pointed out. There could be dozens of facilities scattered across the galaxy. Then we take years, Daeho said. We don't stop, and the second facility was called Station Helix. It was smaller than Outpost Mortem, hidden inside an artificial moon orbiting a dead planet in neutral space. Intelligence suggested it held maybe 50 victims, both human and alien. The operation was run by a coalition of different species, all pursuing the same goal that Project Genesis had sought: creating enhanced beings through forced genetic manipulation. Yuna's team had grown. 20 trained operatives now, including 5 hybrids from Outpost Mortem who had volunteered to help. They had better equipment this time, better intelligence, and the backing of Earth Command, but they also had something more important: experience. Security is tighter here, Daeho said, studying the scans. They learned from Mortem. Multiple checkpoints, biometric locks, and the facility is designed to self-destruct if breached incorrectly. Self-destruct? Jiwon asked. With the prisoners inside? They'd rather destroy evidence than let it escape, Sujin said bitterly. She had insisted on coming despite having no military training. Her knowledge of facility layouts and security procedures made her invaluable. Echo and the other hybrids, Bora and Juan, studied the facility design. They saw things the humans missed, understanding the logic of these places in ways only victims could. Here, Bora said, pointing to a section marked as environmental controls. Air circulation. They need clean air for experiments. Can enter through maintenance shaft? It's too small for most of us, Minho objected. Not for us, Juan said. The hybrid was smaller than Echo, designed for different purposes. We fit. We can go in, disable internal security, let others in. Yuna didn't like the idea of sending the hybrids alone into danger, but she also understood that their unique abilities made them perfect for infiltration. They were faster, stronger, and could fit through spaces humans couldn't. Okay, she agreed. But you maintain constant communication. Any sign of trouble, you pull back. We'll find another way. The three hybrids nodded. They had been practicing human expressions and gestures trying to fit in. It was both heartwarming and heartbreaking to watch them learn how to be people when they had been designed to be tools. They approached Station Helix using a stolen transport ship that broadcast Veltron identification codes. The codes were genuine, taken from a military supply vessel that had been implicated in supporting the facilities. The Velthron government had provided them in a gesture of cooperation, though Yuna suspected it was more about protecting their reputation than genuine justice. The station's security challenged them. Deho responded with predetermined codes and a fake manifest. They claimed to be delivering supplies. Proceed to docking Bay 7, the security officer said after a tense moment. Remain in your vessel until inspection. They docked. Echo, Bora. And Juan slipped out through the cargo bay while the human team prepared to create a distraction. Yuna watched through her helmet camera feed as the three hybrids crawled through the maintenance shaft. Their bioluminescent patterns were dimmed to almost nothing, making them nearly invisible in the darkness. They moved with eerie silence, their enhanced bodies perfectly adapted for stealth. Approaching environmental controls, Echo whispered through the comm. No guards visible. Minutes passed like hours. Yuna heard the sounds of metal being carefully removed, circuits being bypassed. The hybrids had learned technology quickly, their enhanced minds absorbing information at incredible rates. We're in, Bora reported, disabling internal sensors now. On Yuna's display, security systems began going offline one by one. The hybrids were working fast, their fingers dancing over control panels with precision no human could match. Then everything went wrong. Wait, Echo said urgently. This is trap. System is not normal. Someone knows we coming. Before anyone could respond, alarms shrieked through the station. Lights flashed. Heavy doors began slamming shut throughout the facility. Get out of there, Deho ordered, but the hybrids were already cut off. The environmental control room sealed, trapping them inside. We're locked in, Juan said, surprisingly calm. Cannot override. A new voice came over the station speakers, smooth, confident, and human. Welcome to Station Helix. I've been expecting you. My name is Director Thane, and I've been following your activities with great interest. Yuna felt ice in her veins. A human. The director was human. You seem surprised, Thane continued. Did you think only aliens were capable of advancing science? I've spent 20 years perfecting the art of genetic enhancement. Project Genesis was crude compared to my work. You're experimenting on your own species, Yuna said, her voice shaking with anger. I'm improving our species, Thane corrected. Humans are remarkable, but we're limited. Fragile bodies, short lifespans, restricted senses. But combine human adaptability with superior alien genetics, we could become something magnificent. By torturing people, Jiwan shouted. By kidnapping and experimenting without consent. Sacrifice for progress, Thane said dismissively. Every advance in history required sacrifice. And look at the results. Your hybrid friends are proof of concept. Faster, stronger, smarter than baseline humans. They should be thanking me. Echo's voice cut through, filled with fury. You made us slaves. You made us suffer. You are not creator. You are monster. Strong words from my greatest success, Thane replied. Echo, Subject 7 Alpha. You exceeded every expectation. Your escape was unfortunate, but instructive. I've improved my control methods since then. The environmental control room's walls suddenly became transparent. Yuna could see Echo, Bora, and Juan surrounded by armed guards. But worse, she could see into the facility beyond. Rows of cells holding humans. Laboratories full of hybrids at various stages of development. And in the center of it all, a massive cylindrical chamber containing what looked like hundreds of suspended figures. My collection, Thane said proudly. 217 successful hybrids awaiting activation. Another 300 human subjects providing genetic material. This facility represents the future of humanity. It represents humanity's worst impulses, Sujin said. She had pushed forward to see the screens. Her face was pale but determined. The impulse to dominate, to control, to play God with other people's lives. You were one of my early subjects, weren't you? Thane asked. I remember you. Sujin, you were resilient, strong-willed. We extracted excellent genetic samples before you escaped mortem. I'm glad you survived to see how far we've come. Sujin's hands clenched into fists. I survived to stop people like you. Then you've failed, Thane said. Because in approximately 5 minutes, I'm going to activate the self-destruct sequence for this section of the facility. Your hybrid friends will die and you'll be left with a choice. You can flee and save yourselves, or you can try to rescue them and die with them. Either way, the important work continues. I have 3 other facilities. You've barely scratched the surface. Diho was already working on the door controls. We're not leaving them. The doors are sealed with biometric locks keyed to my genetic signature, Thane said. You'd need my hand or my eye to open them. And I'm quite safely in my private bunker on the other side of the facility. Yuna looked at the screen showing the trapped hybrids. Echo was trying to force the door, but it wouldn't budge. Bora was examining the walls, looking for weaknesses. Juan stood still, bioluminescent patterns pulsing in what Yuna had learned to recognize as deep thought. There has to be another way, she said. 4 minutes, Thane announced cheerfully. Then Juan spoke. I have idea. His bad idea. But only idea? What is it? Echo asked. Environmental controls regulate everything. Air temperature, pressure. If we overload system, cause explosion, might breach wall. Might escape. That's insane, Bora said. Could kill us. Staying here definitely kill us, Juan pointed out. Echo looked at the camera directly at Yuna. Is risk, but is chance. We try, no, Yuna said. Wait, we'll find something else. But Echo was already moving to the control panel. Tell our story, the hybrid said. Tell Galaxy what happened here. Make it mean something. Echo, don't. The environmental system began to whine, pressure building rapidly. The guards outside the room backed away, sensing danger. 3 minutes, Thane said, but he sounded less confident now. The environmental controls exploded. The blast was massive, tearing through the reinforced walls. Alarms shrieked. The camera feeds went dark. Echo, Yuna screamed. Bora! Juan! Static, nothing but static, then faintly Echo's voice. We alive. Wall breached. But Juan? Juan fell, Bora said, her voice thick with grief. Fell into lower level. Too far down. We have to get out, Echo said. Have to save others. Juan would want that. Yuna felt tears on her face. They had lost someone. Juan, who had been so logical, so brave, who had sacrificed themselves to give the others a chance. The self-destruct, Diho reminded them. We have 2 minutes. No, Sujin said suddenly. We have 2 minutes to stop the self-destruct. Thane wouldn't destroy his life's work unless he had no choice. The self-destruct can be stopped. How? Yuna asked. Sujin was already running toward the facility's command center. Because I know how these people think. They always have an escape plan. Always have a way to save their precious research. We find Thane, we stop the destruct, we save everyone. They ran. Echo and Bora fought their way through the facility, taking down guards with enhanced speed and strength. 6 months passed. 6 months of investigations, trials, and revelations that shook the galactic community to its core. Director Thane confessed to everything, naming others involved in the genetic experimentation programs. The list was long and included members of multiple species, military officials, corporate executives, and even some government leaders. The trials were broadcast across the galaxy. Species that had considered themselves civilized were forced to confront the darkness that had been operating in their midst. Some denied involvement. Others apologized. A few actually helped, providing information about other facilities and operations. Yuna became something she never wanted to be. Famous. Her face was known across the galaxy as the human who had started it all. The maintenance worker who found Echo and refused to look away. She hated the attention, but she used it. Every interview, every speech, every public appearance was a chance to tell the truth about what had been done and what still needed to be done. Echo became famous too, but in a different way. The hybrid was proof that victims could become more than their trauma. Echo learned multiple languages, studied art and philosophy, and spoke at conferences about hybrid rights and genetic ethics. Other hybrids looked to Echo as a leader and inspiration. The hybrid community grew. Freed victims from multiple facilities came together, forming a new culture that blended human and alien traits. They called themselves the Bridge, existing between species, belonging fully to none but connected to all. Juan survived, though barely. The injuries had been severe, requiring months of treatment and rehabilitation. But the hybrid recovered, and when asked about the sacrifice, Juan simply said, "Was necessary. Would do again." Family worth everything. Family. That's what they had become. The survivors, the rescuers, the hybrids, and humans working together. Not related by blood, but by shared purpose and mutual respect. But the mysterious messages continued. The symbol appeared in encrypted transmissions, warning that there were forces at work beyond their understanding. Yuna's team investigated, following every lead, but the trail always went cold. Whoever was behind the coordination of these experiments was very good at hiding. Then, 3 weeks before the 1-year anniversary of Echo's discovery, something changed. Yuna was working late in her office at the Xenogenetic Rights Bureau when her computer received an unusual transmission. No return address, heavily encrypted but bearing that familiar symbol. This time it wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. "You have proven persistent. You have exposed operations we thought secure. You have freed victims we thought contained. This is unexpected, impressive even. We wish to speak with you, face to face. Come to the coordinates provided. Come alone. Learn the truth about what you're really fighting against, or continue in ignorance. Your choice." Coordinates followed, a location in deep space far from any inhabited systems. Yuna stared at the message for a long time. It was obviously a trap. Obviously dangerous. Obviously something she should report to her superiors immediately. She called Deho instead. "It's a trap," he said immediately after reading the message. "Obviously. You're going anyway, aren't you?" "I have to know," Yuna said. "We've been fighting shadows for a year. This is a chance to see who's really behind everything." "Then we all go," Deho said firmly. "You, me, the team. If they want to talk, they can talk to all of us." Yuna smiled. "Thank you." They prepared carefully. Minho got the ship ready. Jiwon packed medical supplies and weapons. Vrex prepared analysis equipment. Sujin insisted on coming despite having no official role anymore. And Echo, along with 5 other hybrids, volunteered without hesitation. "This is our fight too," Echo said. "We deserve answers as much as humans." They traveled to the coordinates. It took 4 days of hard flying through empty space. When they arrived, they found something impossible. A massive structure hung in the void. Not a station or a ship, but something else entirely. It looked ancient, built from materials that didn't match any known technology. Geometric patterns covered its surface, including that familiar symbol repeated thousands of times. "What is that?" Minho whispered. "Unknown," Vrex said, scanners working frantically. "The materials are not in any database. The energy signature is unlike anything I've encountered. This structure is old, very old." They received a transmission directing them to a docking port. The structure opened like a flower, revealing a bay that could have held 50 ships their size. "Last chance to turn back," Deho said. Nobody took it. They docked and exited the ship. The interior was strange, with gravity that felt slightly wrong and lighting that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The walls were covered in writing from dozens of languages, some current, others ancient and extinct. A figure waited for them in a large circular chamber. It was humanoid, but clearly not human, tall and thin, with skin that seemed to shift between colors. Its eyes were large and completely black. "Welcome," it said in perfect human language. "I am called the Curator. I speak for the archive." "What is the archive?" Yuna asked. The Curator gestured around them. "This structure, this repository of knowledge. We have existed for thousands of years, collecting information about every species, every civilization, every development in this galaxy and beyond." "You're observers," Sujin said. "Watchers." "More than that," the Curator replied. "We are shepherds, perhaps. We guide, we test. We determine which species are ready to advance and which must be limited." Yuna felt cold. "You're behind the experiments. All of them. Not behind them. We observed them. Studied them. The genetic programs were developed independently by multiple species, but we allowed them to continue because they provided valuable data." "Allowed?" Echo's voice was dangerous. "You watched people suffer and did nothing." "We did what was necessary," the Curator said calmly. "Genetic enhancement is a critical step in species development. Those who master it advance. Those who abuse it destroy themselves. We needed to see which path humanity would take. This was a test? Yuna couldn't believe what she was hearing. You let people be kidnapped, experimented on, killed, all to test humanity? Yes, and you passed. Most species, when discovering genetic manipulation, use it for conquest or self-destruction. Humans chose differently. You freed victims. You punished perpetrators. You granted rights to created beings. You proved compassion stronger than ambition. People died, Jiwan said, voice shaking with anger. Good people. Innocent people. And you're saying it was all some kind of experiment? A test, the curator corrected. An important test. And because humanity passed, we are here to offer you something extraordinary. Full membership in the archive. Access to knowledge spanning millennia. Technology beyond your current understanding. Guidance in becoming a truly advanced civilization. In exchange for what? Daiho asked suspiciously. Nothing. This is not a transaction. This is recognition. Humanity has proven itself worthy of advancement. We simply offer the tools. Yuna looked at her team. They all looked as horrified and angry as she felt. The curator spoke of passing tests. But all Yuna could think about was Huan nearly dying. Sujin's years of captivity. The countless victims who hadn't survived. No, she said. The curator tilted its head. No? We don't want your knowledge or your technology or your guidance. We'll figure things out ourselves the way we always have. Through trial and error. Through mistakes and victories. Through being human. You would refuse advancement? The curator seemed genuinely confused. No species has ever refused this offer. Then humanity is the first, Echo said, standing beside Yuna. We not need teachers who watch suffering and call it learning. We learn from each other. From mistakes. From choosing to be better. The curator was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice held something that might have been respect. This too is unexpected. You refuse advancement out of principle. You choose the harder path because it is the right path. This is remarkable. Is that another test? Sujin asked bitterly. No, it is observation, and perhaps understanding. The curator moved closer to the window looking out at the stars. We have shepherded hundreds of species. Some accepted our offer and became powerful. Others refused and stagnated. But none refused for the reason you give. None chose principle over power. Then maybe you've been watching the wrong thing, Yuna said. Power isn't what makes a species great. Compassion is the willingness to help others even when it's hard. That's what matters. Perhaps, the curator said. Perhaps we have much to learn from humanity after all. Go, take your people. Continue your work. We will watch, but we will not interfere again. You have earned the right to find your own path. They left. As their ship pulled away from the ancient structure, Yuna felt exhausted and somehow free. They had answers now, not the ones they expected, but the truth nonetheless, so what do we do? Mino asked. Just go back to hunting facilities. No, Yuna said. We do something better, we build. We create programs to help hybrid integration. We establish laws protecting genetic rights. We make sure what happened never happens again. And we tell the truth, Echo added. About archive. About tests. About everything. Galaxy deserves to know. They did exactly that.